Live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 5.
The COVID-19 virus is continuing to spread too quickly across Oregon. So it's time for further actions to stop the spread of this disease.
First at 5, Governor Kate Brown announces new statewide restrictions in response to the coronavirus pandemic. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Jacqueline Mazur. Governor Brown's new restrictions take effect Friday. Children 5 years old and older will need to wear face coverings just like adults. This applies to indoor public spaces and out of doors where physical distancing isn't possible. The governor is also limiting the number of people inside large restaurants and churches. An occupancy of 250 will be limited to 100 or less. Bars and restaurants must now close at 10 p.m. Epidemiologist Dr. Dean Seidlinger says the changes are necessary.
Yesterday, the number of confirmed and presumptive cases of COVID-19 in Oregon topped 15,000. Today, we're reporting an additional 264 cases. For the last week in Oregon, we recorded over 2,400 cases of COVID-19, a 26% increase from the previous week.
Dr. Seidlinger says the overall hospitalization rate has increased and hospitals still have enough capacity. However, models show hospitals could be impacted if further restrictions aren't implemented. So far, the state has seen more than 15,300 cases and 271 deaths. And with the new rule on face coverings for all children 5 years and older, the Oregon Department of Education says students in grades kindergarten and above, as well as staff, must wear face coverings. Now, to help with this new rule, ODE plans to distribute 5 million face coverings to districts in the next few weeks. ODE also discussed cohorting as a strategy to limit spread. This means students would regularly stay with a group of 24 to 36 of the same peers. School leaders say this does not mean students are grouped by any demographic or disability. As of now, districts can still decide between on-site learning, hybrid learning, or off-site learning. We expect another update from the department in 3 weeks' time. And as school districts make those decisions to reopen and teachers prep for the new year, local educators say there's still a lot of anxiety out there. The plan from the Eugene 4J district calls for some in-person instruction right away for younger students and remote learning for most children beginning September 14th. In-person learning could start as early as mid-October, depending on health and safety circumstances. But the Eugene Education Association president says the plan was made by administrators, and so far teachers have not been included in the discussion.
There needs to be enough space for physical distancing. There needs to be enough staff, such as teachers, nurses, custodial staff, supervisors to monitor the physical distancing and the wearing of masks.
Gordon says sanitation and school supplies, along with personal protective equipment, must be readily available. Meanwhile, a school district spokesperson says more conversations are needed regarding future plans. The current plan is not official just yet. Well, taking a live look at downtown Portland now, where Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler is expected to visit the protest zone. Just hours ago, a crew put up a barrier in front of the federal courthouse. Demonstrators breached the west side doors and set fires overnight, although it does look relatively peaceful out there right now. Now, Portland police say federal officers started using crowd control munitions around 11:30 last night to try to break up the crowd. They also say several people tried to start a fire outside the building, blocked people inside with pieces of a fence, and did start a fire in Lonsdale Square. Federal officers used another round of crowd control munitions just before 2 a.m. Portland police say they were not present last night and did not engage with the crowd or deploy CS gas. Additionally, Portland police did not make any arrests. A grand jury will now hear evidence in the case of a Black Unity protester hit by a car last month in Eugene. Protesters will present the Eugene police investigation to a panel of 7 people selected from the circuit court juror pool. On June 28th, protester Isaiah Wagner was hit by a car driven by Travis Valeri. Valeri drove away, but police arrested and released him that night. The panel will determine whether to indict a defendant on formal criminal charges. It's unknown when the grand jury will meet. Firefighters are cleaning up the last of 3 fires since Sunday in Douglas County. The largest of the 2, the Days Creek Road fire, which burned about 35 acres. Crews are still working outside of Canyonville to put out any hot spots.
Today, again, we've got crews and resources out here working on the fire, focusing on the fire's edge, again, for that first 50 feet or so, making sure that's fully secured, and then they'll start working their way interior, extinguishing the rest of the heat and smoke.
Yesterday, a few smaller fires popped up right along I-5 south of Canyonville, and thankfully, crews were able to help out.
So when we had the Milepost 92 fire start just south of Canyonville, we were able to pull a couple resources, a 20-person hand crew and a tender off of this to go and respond to that.
Reed says the time from late July to early August is peak fire season, and it's not unusual to see multiple fires. The cause of the Milepost 92 fire was vehicle related. The other 2 fires remain under investigation. All right, well, let's take a first look at weather. Alan Matthews joins us now. Alan, we're talking about fires and a brief reprieve from the heat today, but still beautiful and sunny out there.
Well, it's still very warm out there. In fact, actually, it's kind of funny because we were talking about temperatures right before we hit the air. I says, well, it looks like we've escaped the 90-degree heat. And then I check Roseburg's temperature, and they hit 91. So they just did that here in the last few minutes. So we're going to see another day of temperatures a little above what we expected. We were expecting that cool down to happen today. Didn't quite happen. 87 right now in Eugene. Like I said, they hit 91 in Roseburg. Northeast wind at 14 and our humidity at 33%. If you're an allergy sufferer, well, as far as the grass pollen is concerned, that is in the moderate range, and it looks like we'll see moderate for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as far as that pollen is concerned. Not much to show you with the radar satellite. We have seen some cloud cover moving in and out of the area today, and we'll probably see that again tomorrow. And as far as the planner is concerned, overnight low is going to drop down into the mid to upper 50s, and hopefully tomorrow that cool down is finally going to hit us with a little cloud cover to get your morning off to a start. All your weather details coming up a little later on. Jacqueline?
All right, thank you so much, Alan. Well, we do have an update tonight. The small town of Sweet Home is rallying together after a jet ski crash left 2 6-year-olds critically injured on Monday. The young children were airlifted to hospitals after a jet ski crashed through a crowd in a designated swimming area near Lewis Creek Park. Now, businesses and other organizations are pulling together to help support the families through prayer and fundraisers.
I just put the word out that I was going to do that, and the support has been amazing. Like this morning I woke up to all kinds of messages from people I don't know.
The Linn County Sheriff's Office is investigating the crash. Legacy Emmanuel Medical Center confirms one of the children, Zach Maynard, remains in critical condition. Kennedy Swenson's GoFundMe says she is stable but suffers from a broken jaw. Now, if you would like to donate to the children's families, you can find those links on our website at NBC16.com. A child died after being hit by a pickup while riding a bike in Scioto yesterday night. It happened at the intersection of First Avenue and Beach Street. The Linn County Sheriff's Office says the driver of the pickup, Stephanie Nightingale, was driving west on First Avenue when the child rode into the intersection at Beach Street. Deputies say the driver is cooperating. Speed or driver impairment were not factors in this crash. The investigation is ongoing tonight. Well, search and rescue teams have their hands full this summer. Earlier this week, a man died on Three Finger Jack, and at least 10 rescues at Blue Pool in the past 2 months alone are keeping rescuers busy. The Linn County Sheriff's Office says this is the highest increase they've seen in such a short period of time. The latest incident took place at Blue Pool, where a man jumped off rocks into the water and didn't resurface for several minutes. Deputies say this is a big concern as Blue Pool is remote, has bad cell service, and delays critical response time.
We don't even get the call until somebody is able to get to cell phone service. So we're already starting, 30 minutes, 45 minutes behind before we're even notified of need up at the pool.
Fountain says there's a lot of risk involved. He asked those who visit to think carefully before jumping off one of the cliffs at the pool. Eugene Police Department is asking for help in identifying a suspect who stabbed a 24-year-old in the torso Saturday night in Eugene. Police say the suspect was following the victim on Chamber Street and stabbed the person near Dandelion's Flower and Gift Shop. Police describe the suspect as a white man with short brown hair between 30 to 40 years old. Police say he was last seen wearing a black shirt, blue pants, and gray hooded sweatshirt. The victim was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Anyone with information is asked to contact EPD. The Lane County Sheriff's Office is asking for help in identifying suspects involved in burglarizing 3 businesses in Veneta. Deputies say the suspects broke windows and stole up to $1,000 in items from the Smoke Shop, DS Mart, and Mr. Nice Guy Dispensary. Deputies say there are 4 to 6 suspects in their teens or early 20s involved. Video surveillance shows the suspects left in what appears to be a light-colored minivan. Deputies believe this group could be tied to recent burglaries in the Eugene-Springfield area. Anyone with information is asked to contact the LCSO. Coming up next on NBC 16 at 5, the U.S. reaches a deal with a vaccine candidate against the coronavirus. How many doses we expect by the end of the year. Plus, the National Guard completes wildfire training, reminders on how you can help prevent a fire this summer.